Well, no surprise here. The Biden administration is up to no good yet again. Since day one that man has been in office, they have been trying to literally dismantle the United States of America. Either he's really stupid and doesn't know what he's doing, which, I guess that could be the case, or he is purposefully destroying our country. And we've now got potential for World War III. We've got a banking crisis. We've got an inflation crisis. We've got sky high food and gas prices. We've got a housing crisis. All of this is striking us at the same time as the fact that, we are losing faith in our government institutions. Boil that all together and you have literally got a recipe for disaster. Well, now the United States government, on top of it all, is building a very vast surveillance and speech suppression web, if you will, around every American citizen. And if they prevail, we're talking about the silence of speech unlike we have ever seen before. And not only that, but I've got a question. Is the government about to do the unimaginable? Are they about to jail their political dissent? Because if they're shutting us up, after all, what is the next step and what have other countries done? Well, they have done exactly that. Not saying that is going to happen in any way, shape, or form, but I really question with the steps that they have been taking lately and the one-sided political persecution where if you're a conservative, a Republican, or a libertarian, you get the max sentences. But if you're on their side, you get a pat on the hand and your bail paid. As we've seen in the past. But I think this is an issue that we cannot ignore any longer. I know we hear about mass surveillance and a lot of us just push it to the side and we think, I already understand. I already know what's going on. Well, because of that mentality that we've kind of built this normalcy bias bubble around each of our bodies saying, we already know it exists, so we'll just ignore it. It's okay. We've accepted it. And if we accept that, then all your freedom of speech is going to disappear. And eventually that could lead to much worser things in the future. This is why I think this is a critical report. And again, why I created restrictedrepublic.com. I might sound like a broken record, but I don't know what tomorrow holds. You don't know what tomorrow holds. And right now, you can get Restricted Republic for $50 a year for 3 years per year, $50 a year. Use the coupon code, the number 3 year and the number 50. But the reason that I created this is because of everything that they are doing, the way that they are attacking conservatives, the way that they are downlisting information. And there's only so much time that you're going to be able to access these things. So get to restrictedrepublic.com and please support me there. If not, we could be gone tomorrow. This is one way you can really keep us alive and keep us getting the word out. Again, we're only funded by you, the people. So with that, let's dive into this government vast surveillance network that they're building around each and every single one of us. And with the help of their non-government agencies and all their federal departments, they've really got a network unlike we have ever seen before. And add that to the fact that we have 87,000 more IRS agents coming because I know the Republicans tried to defund it, but they weren't successful. They don't really have both houses there, the House and the Senate. So we have 87,000 more IRS agents coming eventually, and that's only going to add to their network. But take a look, and this is on the Federalist.com. They've got a really good article on this. The U.S. government is building a vast surveillance and speech suppression web around every American. Our government is preparing to monitor every word Americans say on the internet, the speech of journalists, politicians, religious organizations, advocacy group, and even private citizens. Should those conversations conflict with the government's viewpoint about what is in the best interest of our country and her citizens, that speech will be silenced. Never mind the First Amendment, right? While the Twitter files offer a glimpse into the government's efforts to censor disfavored viewpoints, what we have seen is nothing compared to what is planned, as the details of hundreds of federal awards lay bare. Research by the Federalist reveals our tax dollars are funding the development of AI and machine learning (ML) technology that will allow the government to easily discover problematic speech and track Americans reading or partaking in such conversations. It goes on, the federal government has awarded more than 500 plus contracts, that's a massive amount, or grants related to misinfo, disinfo since 2020. One predominant area of research pushed by the DoD involves the use of AI and ML technology to monitor or listen to internet conversations. The DoD and other federal agencies are now paying for-profit public relations and communication firms to convert their technology into tools for the government to monitor speech on the internet. So I'm going to come back to that in just a moment, but what's happening here is our U.S. government is using your tax-paying dollars to fund misinformation and disinformation, anything that they deem that. And they're saying, hey, we're going to give you awards and grants, create that AI technology, that machine learning technology, give it to us, and we're going to convert it, change it, fix it, use it against the American population. They've got their fusion centers, they got their IRS, they got their DOD, their DHS, all of these multiple departments, which is an overexpanse of government power, by the way. And they're going to utilize that to silence anything that they deem should be silenced. Whether it's true or not is beside the point. Now, what I like about this Federalist article is they get into even more detail. And they say to fully appreciate the dangers that this possesses to our free speech, we have to consider the use that these technologies. Here, let me go back to that article here. It says to appreciate fully the danger this possesses to free speech, it requires Americans to consider the use of that technology with these 7 additional details. Now consider that technology and these details. Detail number 1, everything, everywhere, all at once. In other words, AI and ML technology will track every single conversation that we have, all at one time. They'll have massive amounts of information, and they'll set up different departments to weed through it to find out what is important, what isn't important, what they want to censor, and what they don't want to censor. They have the ability to do that. Number 2, you also must consider that we're talking about Americans. We're not talking about foreign actors or foreign activity. We're talking about people right here in the United States of America. And as they detailed in that report, they actually give a whole list of people that have accepted some of these grants, everything from NewsGuard to Athleta Group to Peak Metrics, and many others have received, millions and thousands in taxpayer money to develop this technology. Now, again, it's not going against foreign people. It's going against the average American as well. The third point here, the great power competition renders everything fair game for censorship. In other words, if you're putting it out there, they got it, they got a hold of it, it's fair game. We can use it. We're going to use it here or here or here. We're going to use it against you. We're going to use it for you. We're going to promote it. We're going to degrade it. Number 4 here, the government brands true speech misinformation. And that's something that we learned during the pandemic. We learned that it didn't matter what was true or not true, or what was, a theory or not theory. They just said it's either true or not. Doesn't matter if it is true or not. We're going to censor it. Number 5, faulty analysis and, of course, bias censors. We learned that through the Twitter files. We see that on all these social media platforms, how they are more left controlled. Number 6, the government's partners are poised to censor. They've got many non-government agencies like Facebook and many other social media sites like Google already in poised saying, hey, we're ready. We're going to do whatever you want, however you want. You just tell us what to do. Because a lot of them, get grants and all kinds of things for the United States government and passes. And number 7, this is the other point that they make here. Those who could warn the public or stop the plot are all in. In other words, the mainstream media is all in on the act, and they're going in full-fledged with these government censors and government agencies. That is why MSNBC, ABC, CNN, and all these leftist media organizations are silent about anything. They were silent about the Twitter files. They refused to talk about it. They refused to bring it to you because they're all in. They're either controlled by, we know a lot of CIA agents who now work or are, insiders, if you will, not insiders, but they give information and they give analysis to a lot of these mainstream media networks. We can't trust them anymore. This is why alternative media is so important, and why what I'm doing at Restricted Republic is so important. We're giving you the real news, the real news about what's truly going on in society, and that's why it's important to get there. The mainstream media wouldn't touch anything regarding this with a 9-foot pole. They don't even like to mention it anymore because, again, they have been sold, they have been bought, and they sold themselves downriver. We should call the mainstream media what it really is: government and state-run media. That's what they are anymore. And that's why they are doing anything and everything in their power to quash the little guy. And as they admit to, they promote only the mainstream media channels while everybody else gets pushed down the feed. So I wanted to bring this to your attention because one day the government could take this information and do something unimaginable or unthinkable with it, especially if we have the wrong people in charge of our country. Imagine what Hitler or Stalin or Mao could have done with this kind of web surveillance network around people. I mean, they would have millions and billions of people like arrested, and it could have been an absolute nightmare. And imagine some dictator having this kind of power. What would that do to an entire country or even an entire globe? I mean, these are some severe repercussions. I hope that never happens. But unfortunately, I see more and more of our country headed in the wrong direction, more towards communism. We had a little bit of reprieve when Trump was in office, and I hope and pray to God that we'll have another reprieve in 2024. It's to be determined. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're headed in a very communist style path. And it's a terrifying thought, especially what's even, I guess, the icing on the cake is we've got Democrats, almost 90% of them, probably even 99%, actually supporting this kind of surveillance. When back in the day, Democrats, they wouldn't have thought the light of day of something like that. And a lot of the people who are still voting Democrat are thinking they're voting for the old Democrat Party. They have no idea the things that they are supporting and doing. And that's why it's so important to win your Democrat friend over if you can and say, hey, did you know they're doing this? Would you support that? Would you support mass surveillance? Would you support, them knowing everything and anything about you and then using it against you in the future? What if, some guy got in charge that, maybe went after your political view, right? So these are ways I think we can win people over. Anyhow, wanted to bring you the latest on all of this, just kind of throw it out there. And we may have heard it over and over and over again, but again, this is our normalcy bias bubble that we have to pop. And we have to start, raising the flag on this and contacting our senators and saying enough is enough. Let's stop this. Anyhow, I love all of you. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.